Hello, and welcome to today's live reading of Melt My Heart by Alicia Street, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. Caleb Westfall had never before seen a woman with hair that color. Yeah, he'd encountered redheads of all varieties, but her thick, luxurious waves of burnished copper seemed almost magical and had him staring like a fool while he stood there in the parking lot that bordered the Westfall Yacht World offices and marina. It was the end of September, an unusually warm evening, and his sales and repair teams had gone home long ago. Caleb prided himself on the fact that he knew by name each and every client in the 120 slips in his family's North Fork Marina, including those with temporary dockage. But he did not know this woman. Who was she, and what was she doing crouching on the ground between the cars parked in the marina's lot? He quietly walked closer. The natural light was fading, and the parking lot lamps emitted a soft glow, enough to see she was stunning, even squatting on her haunches like a street urchin. Waves of her shiny copper hair hung past her shoulders, sleek, sexy shoulders bared by the halter top of her dress, the hem riding up to the top of her thighs in her crouched position. Her attention was focused on something in between the parked cars. Her outstretched arm and the soft coaxing words he heard as he got closer told him it must be an animal. Lose something? He asked. Her head snapped to the right, her pale gray eyes looking straight at him as if she was surprised by his presence. Her face was so beautiful it nearly took his breath away. Shh, you'll frighten him, she said. It's a stray dog. He keeps running from me. One more cautious step, and Caleb peeked around an SUV to see a small, short-haired mutt, reddish-brown with a patch of white at its throat and chest. It was literally quivering. The poor guy had looked emaciated, and his fur was dirty and worn off in a few places. Don't come any closer or he'll bolt, the woman said. At first, Caleb told himself to mind his own business and walk away. That was his current modus operandi. He'd learned years ago that he couldn't save the world. The best option was to put on blinders and keep moving. But tonight, he made the mistake of taking another peek at the dog and saw it. The eyes, that look, just like Apollo's. The strange thing was, this small scraggly mutt was nothing like Apollo, who was a huge shepherd, bright-eyed, well-cared for, and well-trained, and so brave. Losing Apollo in the dusty desert of Afghanistan had hit Caleb as hard as losing two of his SEAL buddies. Can I help? He heard himself say, surprised at the way those words just popped out of his mouth. You don't happen to have any dog biscuits in your pocket, do you? She murmured. No, but I do have some turkey slices in my refrigerator in the Westfall offices. Will that work? That would be great, but please try to move quietly so he doesn't panic. A few strides took Caleb back to the door of the Westfall Yacht World, and his fingers quickly punched in the security code. He raced to the refrigerator in his office and grabbed the whole pack of sliced turkey breast he kept there to snack on when he worked late. Gliding swiftly through the parking lot, back to the damsel and dog in distress, Caleb opened the plastic Ziploc bag and handed her a couple slices. She breathed a soft thank you, and Caleb tried not to let his thoughts go to his crotch just because she had a bedroom voice. Okay, yeah. He checked to see if she was wearing any rings. He had never met a married woman who didn't wear her wedding ring, and he never hit on married women. Wait a sec. Hold it right there. Suddenly he felt bad. This lady was on a rescue mission, and here he was fantasizing about her in his bed. But then, he was a red-blooded male, and any man's thoughts would go in that direction seeing a female as gorgeous as this. Give me another slice, she said, pulling Caleb back to the present, her hand out to him while her eyes remained on the stray. Caleb set another couple pieces of turkey in her hand, and of course he kept his fingers touching hers until he made sure she would not drop it, and he congratulated himself on not letting her smooth, hot touch distract him too much. Good boy, she cooed to the dog, who was now right next to her. Yes, you like that, don't you? Caleb was about to ask what her plan was, but then he wondered why he was getting involved. Playing hero wasn't him anymore. Nope, that Caleb Westfall was gone. Another slice? She asked. here you go." As Caleb leaned toward her with the turkey, he caught a floral scent from her lush copper curls and could not help wondering what it would be like to thread his fingers through her hair, tip her head back, and taste her full lips. "Damn it," he muttered. "What is it? I forgot how far away my car is. I'm pretty good at getting them into my car, but it has to be fast. This guy had me chasing him for so long that we covered more ground than usual." She heaved a sigh. "I don't know how I'm going to do it now." "My car is right over there," he said, his head nodding to the side of the lot. "I was on my way to it when I saw you here." "Which one is it?" "The black Range Rover. Shouldn't be hard to get him that far." She glanced up at Caleb, a worried look on her face. "You'd really do that?" "No problem. And since you just saw me go into the offices here, you can rest assured I'm not some psycho killer who... I know who you are." "You do?" "Shh." She snuck her hand into her shoulder bag and pulled out a leash. Would that work on an animal this skittish? "Won't he react if you try to put that on him?" "Yeah, he will. So if you could get to your car and open the hatchback." "Is that what you usually do? Toss them in fast?" She tissed, shaking her head. "I usually plan ahead and bring a cage and a helper from the shelter, but I just found him tonight, and when I saw he was bleeding..." "He's bleeding?" She nodded. "Near his belly. Good chance it will get on your car." "That's okay." "I'll pay to have it cleaned." "Not necessary," he said. "Just tell me how we are going to do this." "Can you walk back behind those other cars to get to yours so he doesn't get spooked seeing you come closer?" "Sure. Here's another slice of turkey to sweeten the deal for him." "Thanks." She took it from him, giving him a smile that made the warm night downright steamy, then said, "Since we don't know how he'll react to the leash or to the sound of you opening your hatchback, if you could wait by the car until I have the leash on him, then quickly get the hatchback open and ready, that would be great." "I'm on it." Caleb wove his way around the outer rim of the lot to his car as she fed the mutt the next piece of turkey. When he got to his car, he realized he still had more turkey in his hand, so he stuffed it in the pocket of his dress shirt. Then he watched and waited, his hand moving toward the fob in his pants pockets. He noticed she had donned what looked like work gloves that went to her elbows, but he could still not help worrying that the dog might bite her. At first, he was amazed at the smooth and slick way she got the leash over his head, but when she tightened it, the dog panicked and bolted, and she lost hold of the leash. Caleb took off in a flash, raced around another car, and spotted the little furry bullet. He dove for him, skidding to his knees as he grabbed the mutt and held on. "It's okay, boy, it's okay." At first, the dog twitched around and yelped, but then he stopped, and his nose went to Caleb's chest. The woman came running. "Oh my God, you caught him! And he's letting you hold him. I can't believe it." Caleb burst out laughing. "I stuffed the last couple of turkey slices in my shirt pocket, and this little bugger found them." She laughed, but said, "I don't think it's just the turkey. Where are your car keys?" "My trouser pocket." He turned, and she slid her hand into his pocket. "Yeah, torture." They went to his Range Rover, and she opened the back, saying, "He'll be all over the car if I don't hold him while you drive. So let me grab the end of the leash and crawl in. Then you can hand him to me." He told himself not to peek at her pink panties that showed as she crawled into the cargo area, but... "All right, hand him to me," she said, once she was seated on the floor. Caleb passed the dog to her, bending close. Their cheeks brushed as he deposited the smelly, whining mutt in her lap, and the accidental tenderness of it all reached something deep inside him. Not that he had any idea what or why. He walked around to the driver's seat and slid in. "So, you already know my name?" "Caleb Westfall." "Did we meet at..." "We never met, and don't pretend you're not aware of the fact that most women in this small town know who you are." "They do?" No, he was not aware of that, but he didn't say that because it was clear she would not believe him. "What is your name?" he asked. "Winter." "No last name. Okay, point taken. Maybe it wasn't even her real name. Where to, Winter?" he asked, looking back over his shoulder, intrigued to have this beautiful stranger with a frightened creature in her arms occupying his car. Just drive north, just drive toward North Cove, and I will give you a heads up when we need to turn off for the North Cove Animal Hospital," she said. "At this hour?" he asked. "Don't worry, I have keys so we can take the dog inside as soon as we get there." "Are you a vet?" "No, my cousin is, and I work at the shelter she maintains next to her clinic. As soon as my hands are free, I will call her. I didn't want to bother her unless I knew for sure the little guy would be coming with me." Keeping his eyes on the road, Caleb listened to the way Winter soothed the mutt. And the next time he checked in his rear view to see what was happening back there, she seemed to be winning the battle. He drove down the quiet country roads of Long Island's North Fork past a cluster of stores, a gas station, a church, a school, and then past farmhouses and fields and vineyards, the hint of salt air from the nearby Long Island Sound never far away. It was not long before Winter said, "Take the next right, then you'll see a big sign coming up for the North Cove Animal Hospital." Caleb took the next right, saw the sign, and then pulled into the broad lot in front of two connected buildings that looked like they may have once been commercial offices and a warehouse. Is there an entrance that is best? Yes, the shelter is that longer one-story building at the end. As you get closer, you'll see the door. He slowed the car to a stop as he neared the entrance, and then turned in his seat to look at his passengers. "Do you want me to come around and open the hatch and take the dog?" "I'll hold him, but you could open the hatch and fish my phone and keys from my bag. I'm afraid to lose my grip on him, especially once the door is open." Caleb went around to the back, opened the hatch, then reached in and maneuvered the enormous leather tote bag off the silky skin of her shoulder. He dunked his hand into the bulky bag to explore what was in there. Wallet, water bottle. Hey, dog biscuits. You're kidding. I couldn't find them earlier. He pulled one out, and as disturbed as the dog might be, he did not turn it down. Probably hadn't eaten in days, judging by the way he wolfed it down in one bite. Caleb went back to his task. Let's see. Lipstick, thumb drive, tissues, masking tape, a chain of safety pins, candy bar, hairbrush, a pair of socks? Winter laughed and shook her head. "You're not really looking for my phone, are you?" "Sure I am. Can't help being curious about what a woman would keep in a bag this big." He pulled out a letter with business letterhead that looked familiar. It looked exactly like the letter he had received yesterday from the estate attorney. He quickly read the letterhead. Cyrus Tatum, Esquire, attorney at law. Yep, the same. Why would she be getting one of these? His eyes must have lingered on the letter a bit too long because she said, "Put that back. God, you are nosy." "Is this none of your business? Right now, I'm trying to hold on to a very nervous and frightened stray, so please, here it is. And are these the right keys?" He held up the phone and keys. For the briefest moment, their eyes met and they exchanged some kind of nonverbal thing. What exactly it meant, he wasn't sure, as it was gone in a split second. The dog began to kick and wiggle, making whining sounds. Uh-oh, he's getting antsy. "Just hold on to the phone for now. Will you go unlock the door?" "Doesn't your cousin have an alarm system?" Winter blew out a sigh and rattled off the code. "You better be trustworthy," she called after him as he jogged to the door. As soon as Caleb had the door open, he turned to see if she needed help getting out of the car, but she was already walking up behind him, a bundle of doggy in her arms, independent. "Flip the light switch next to the door, please," Winter said. They stepped into the lobby and were greeted by the barking of what seemed like 100 dogs. But as they moved into the hall with a row of cages on each side, he saw it was more around like 15. Winter stopped at an empty cage. "Would you please get this one open for me?" So polite. Maybe too polite? Caleb moved with speed, and she deposited the pooch fast and shut the door of the pen, murmuring sweet nothings to him. Lucky dog. "What's next?" he asked. "Water. He's probably dehydrated, maybe a little more food, but not too much because Bridget might need to sedate him. Would you just stay here and talk to him while I get the supplies?" "Sure." He leaned closer to the whining, sorry-looking creature. "Hey, buddy. Don't put your fingers in the cage." "I'm not an idiot." "I didn't say that. You implied it. This isn't about you. It's just a standard caution." "Sounds like you do this a lot," he said. Winter shrugged. "Whenever it's necessary, you would be surprised how many people just dump pets they no longer want." Or maybe pets get lost? Because of careless owners. She tossed the words over her shoulder as she marched down the hall and turned a corner. Caleb liked the edge on her, the bite in her voice, her determined energy. And when she returned, he liked watching her toned legs as she walked toward him and her pursed lips as she focused on the bowls in her hands. He opened the cage door for her, careful in case the dog tried to escape, but instead the scared pooch backed up to the rear of his little pen. Her soothing voice and sleek arms had his guy mind going to images of their naked bodies plastered together. But he could tell she was the kind of woman who needed to be wined and dined before any man even got close to that. Or worse yet, the kind of woman who wanted a relationship that led to marriage. For a moment, that idea tweaked a memory that was buried deep inside. But he shoved it back into its hole. That was the old Caleb, long gone. These days, he liked to keep it simple, on the surface. One night, maybe two. He made that clear to women right from the start, so it wasn't as if he was deceiving anyone. And still, most women he met jumped at the chance to take him home for a night. Was Winter right? Did the local females know his name? Why? He wasn't anybody special. There was a time he'd wanted to be a hero, but now he was just some dude who sold high priced yachts. Was it because of his money or the ripped physique he worked so hard to maintain? Didn't matter because he really didn't care. Hell, he'd stopped caring about most everything after Maya broke him in two. Winter's voice brought him out of his thoughts. My cousin is on her way over, but I've got to check something in the office for her. Would you mind hanging out by the cage and talking to him so he doesn't get too scared? I'll only be a minute. Sure. Not that the little guy is too interested, Caleb said, talking to the mutt and wondering how he had gotten pulled into this. Except he knew. It was this dog with Apollo's eyes and the copper haired beauty who seemed so different from most women. Just as he thought that, Winter gave him one of those admiring looks and said, He really likes you. And I'm really thankful you showed up tonight. I don't know how I would have gotten him in here without you. Okay, so maybe she wasn't any different from the others. While that disappointed him, he wasn't about to pass up an invitation if that was what she was putting out with those last lines. No problem. I can drive you back to your car when you're ready to leave. Thanks, but you don't need to. My cousin can drop me off. In fact, you can leave as soon as I get back from the office. I'm sure you have better things to do than hang around here. Had he just been dismissed?